Well, it is Monday. It's a brand new week, and
here we are.
Ready for a game coming up this week. We've got all kinds of stuff coming on today. We've got in rapid fire, we found out today that Notre Dame Stanford is going to be on a network most people don't have. We've got offensive line stuff. We've got Michigan stuff. We've just got stuff from all over the place. But we start with the fire closest to the butt, as an old friend of mine used to say. Quarterbacks, Vince. Quarterbacks. We're still talking quarterbacks, transfer portal quarterbacks, and Marcus Freeman confirmed it today that they're indeed shopping for a transfer portal quarterback. Do you want to just hear what he has to say first, and we'll jump right into it?
I am overly prepared because I listened to the whole press conference, but I'm excited to hear it again. Usually I'm hearing these things for the first time, but I actually did my homework today, and I listened to the press conference, so I am locked and loaded with all kinds of opinions.
Boy, this must have been a first. Josh says that you made excellent points on the last podcast. Where the transfer portal quarterback was a topic. Wholeheartedly agree with what he... Okay, yes. Well...
Hopefully I make the same point. I'm not sure.
We'll see if we all agree on what you had to say. So here's Marcus Freeman from today. They have decided to add a transfer portal quarterback.
We will look to add a fourth quarterback on scholarship. Who that is still to be determined. How we get to that fourth scholarship quarterback is still to be determined. We'll look in the portal. We'll look in when the portal opens. We'll look at different ways to fill that fourth quarterback scholarship. But yeah, we do want to be in a position to have four quarterbacks on scholarship.
Man, that audio was just crispy, clean sounding, wasn't it?
What did you do? It's good stuff.
Did a little extra work today. So what do you think? They're going to add up. Let's play that one more time. Just to make sure everybody gets it. Okay.
We will look to add a fourth quarterback on scholarship. Who that is still to be determined. How we get to that fourth scholarship quarterback is still to be determined. We'll look in the portal. We'll look in when the portal opens. We'll look at different ways to fill that fourth quarterback scholarship. But yeah, we do want to be in a position to have four quarterbacks on scholarship.
Look at different ways to fill that fourth quarterback position. So what do you think? What do you think when you hear that?
I think that he said exactly what they want to have, and I agree with it completely. You need or want four quarterbacks on your roster, period. He's not, and here's the other thing. People are like freaking out. Oh, we can't go to the portal to get another starting. That's not what he said. You listen to
if you listen closely, this is what you've been suggesting, what Brian's been suggesting for a while now, that it's not maybe necessarily going to be the guy who's going to be the starter as much as, look, we've got to get four scholarship quarterbacks on the roster because we're behind. They lost two quarterbacks to the transfer portal in the last cycle. If even one of them had stayed, the roster would look different next year with CJ Carr coming in, but they want to get to four. Now, I think I counted because, like you've been talking about, again, maybe not necessarily the starter, but at the very least a depth guy.
They need an arm. They need another arm. I mean, period.
An arm that's more than a walk-on arm.
Right.
You need someone with a little experience.
And he was very clear that he said a scholarship quarterback. And he said they're going to look at ways to do that. So the most obvious way to bring in somebody is the transfer portal. Duh. We have been saying that all along. They're going to bring someone in. He also said we're going to look at ways to bring somebody in. It could be another quarterback as a freshman. coming in. I know that they've had discussions with CJ Carr about potentially bringing in a second, 24 recruit. That's a definite possibility, right? Because they know who CJ Carr is. They know who he wants to be. They know, he knows who they want him to be. Bringing in a second quarterback is not going to phase him in any way, but they need another scholarship quarterback. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing. Ideally, you want 4 of every position. You want guys from every class. Quarterback is no different. That's what you want. It's not. That's the ideal place to be. Here's the other situation, folks. You have to remember, okay? You can go get a fourth quarterback, whether it's a 24 recruit, whether it's the transfer portal, whatever, because you're not guaranteed that everybody's going to stick around after spring ball. Somebody could decide randomly to transfer, and if you're sitting at 3 and now you're down to 2, you're in big trouble then. So, yeah, you want 4. There's no doubt about it. You want 4.
See, and like Anthony is saying here, if you bring in a guy who's truly going to compete for the starting job and he ends up getting it, then he says Steve most likely leaves, Steve Angeli, of course,
Sure.
And you're down to 3 to start the next season. So,
and he may leave anyway. I mean,
right.
I'm not saying he would, but maybe he sees the writing on the wall. Let's say he gets beat out by Kenny Minchie. Okay, that's a scenario that could possibly happen, right? So let's say he gets beat out by Kenny Minchie. He sees, well, crap, I may never be the starter here. I'm out. Now you go from 4 to 3, just like that.
Are you convinced that they are shopping more for a depth guy than they are, someone like Sam Hartman, or projecting forward, a couple of the names that get brought up all the time, whether you like these names or not, or Riley Leonard is a name that gets brought up all the time, whether or not that's even
right. We can debate that a different time.
Yeah. But like Cam Rising is someone who's come up in the last week or so,
yeah.
So are you convinced that it is more a depth guy than one of those, 2 kind of guys with more, more actual experience, who's going to come in, drop in, essentially be, we can go through this whole song and dance again for another offseason about, well, they're going to compete for the job and, everything else, when we all know that, what the actual end result of the competition is going to be. So, again, I've already said it twice. Are you convinced that it's more a depth guy they're looking for as opposed to a guy who's going to come in and be a starting quarterback next year?
I am pretty convinced that that's the case, that they're just looking for an arm. They're looking for a 4th guy, and they're looking for a scholarship level type quarterback, right? Dylan DeVison is not a scholarship level quarterback. He lost his job as the holder. Okay. And that's nothing against Dylan DeVison. He's not a scholarship level.
Devison.
Sorry.
That's okay.
He's not a scholarship level quarterback. He's just not. He's a walk-on for a reason, right? And so you want to go get somebody who is a scholarship level quarterback. No problem with that. That's what you can never be too safe. Ideally, you want 4 quarterbacks. You want 4 arms for spring. You want it for fall camp. You want that's what you want, okay? And it's hilarious to me that there are so many fans out there. You got to develop what you have. That's the only way. Yes, I agree with you. You want them to develop what they have, but you also need another arm in the program so that you're not wearing out the guys that you have. Clearly, there are many, many people who have never been to a college practice. Balls are in the air constantly, okay? You need a bunch of arms.
Right.
There's a reason that NFL teams have a boatload of quarterbacks in there that are never going to make the team, but they're all throwing.
There's old, Miami Hurricane photos of like Jim Kelly and Bernie Kosar and Vinny Testaverde and what's his name? The guy who was the Georgia and Miami head coach, and I just had his name on the tip of my tongue, and I can't. He got honored this weekend at Georgia. You know who I'm talking about?
Stetson
No, the guy. He was the head coach at Georgia.
Oh,
and
Richt.
Miami. Mark Richt. Thank you.
Welcome.
But yeah, but literally, it's like, see some of those old photos kicking around of, like what the quarterback rooms looked like. And I mean, that's you got to function. Yeah, and like if things had worked out the way they thought, they would have had 4 quarterbacks this year. And it's just, I don't think that they thought by any stretch that they were going to lose both Tyler Buckner and Drew Pine.
Sure.
Last offseason when
exactly.
When they brought in Sam Hartman. And there is the other side of it. Are they truly looking for a guy who's just going to fill out the room a little bit? Are they going to develop their own guys, or are they truly going to go out and look for the next Sam Hartman? I don't think that is the best track to go myself.
Agreed. No, I'm with you on that one. I do not want them to go looking for a starter. I don't want that. I really don't. I think it is time to start developing the guys that you have in-house, because I think we can all agree that, Kenny Minchie is a huge get. I think we can all agree that what we've seen from Steve Angeli, people like what they've seen from him. I think we can all agree that CJ Carr is a big get for Notre Dame. I think we can all agree that Deuce Knight is a big get for Notre Dame. That's 3 quarterbacks in a row, 3.5 to 4 if you count Angeli. It's time to start, developing your guys so that you can now continue to recruit quarterbacks at a very high level. That's what you want. You don't want to have to be, hamstrung to the transfer portal. Now, people are going to leave. That is reality. But so you are going to have to use the transfer portal to provide.
You might even have to bring in a couple guys when it's
absolutely.
You might have to go out there in both the this upcoming portal window and go out again in the spring, depending on what happens. Because look at last year, they lost one. When the portal entered right away, when they told Drew Pine, the news, and Drew Pine and Tyler Buckner both found out at the same time. Buckner stuck around and obviously took off at the end of spring, so they lost a guy then as well. But there's a couple different ways, to like, would they be that much worse off had they not taken Sam Hartman? And they've got 3 losses right now, and you bit the bullet and you went with another year of development, whatever you want to call it, with Tyler Buckner and or Drew Pine. But at the same time, had they not got a transfer portal quarterback, and let's say it's Tyler Buckner and they're sitting there at 7-3, then people would most likely be screaming, "Why didn't you go find a transfer portal quarterback?"
No, look, there's no way to make everybody happy. Notre Dame could be undefeated right now, and people will be like, "I don't know why they went and got a transfer quarterback. You're not playing your depth." You're never going to make everybody happy. That's impossible. It's never going to happen, right? And so I do think that it is time to start developing what you have in house. I do too. Wholeheartedly believe that. I do
too.
And there's nobody in my mind that they can go out and get that I'd be like, you know what? Screw the in-house guys. Let's go get that guy. Like, I don't know that guy exists for me, to be perfectly honest.
And I mean, look, we brought up Riley Leonard before. Some people like Riley Leonard. Other people's, and like when we've talked about Riley Leonard, people have said, well, he's projected NFL and all this different. Have you seen the state of quarterback play in the NFL right now? Like,
it's not good.
There's a reason that people got pretty excited about Riley Leonard, early in the season when they won a couple games, and he was riding on top of the world basically before the Notre Dame game. Wicked Broncos production with a big fat super chat. We appreciate you. No way should we get a transfer quarterback unless it's a guy like Leonard or May, elite guys. Otherwise, you start Carr or Minchie, higher ceiling during a week 2024 schedule. That's perfect for starting young guys. The only way to get experience is to play.
I mean, I don't want.
There's no question in there,
Leonard or May. That's not what I want at all, and I don't even consider them all that elite. I mean, what has Riley Leonard done that we consider him elite? I'll just throw that out there. I haven't been all that impressed. Yeah, I mean, I'm impressed that he was playing on a bum ankle and he was, trying to gut it out and all of the. I mean, that's awesome, but like, I'm sorry, I don't want the you suck, thing to.
I don't think
it's a hard pass for me. It's a hard pass for me.
I don't think he's that much better than Tyler Buckner would have been.
I agree with that.
Like with what they do.
Yeah.
I really don't. I really don't.
No, I do agree with him on the fact that you start Carr or Minchie or Angeli, whoever ends up winning the quarterback competition. That's who you go with in 24, and then you see where the chips fall after that. I completely agree with that.
Yeah, like Josh kind of backing up what I just said. Riley's a slightly better version of Buckner. Yeah.
Right. And I could not disagree. I could not agree with that more, to be perfectly honest with you. I would have been fine going with Tyler Buckner into this season. I would have been. I am an unapologetic Tyler Buckner fan, but at that point, he's injury prone. And you've got issues and he likes to throw pick sixes, right? Those are all facts of the matter. And so, I would have been okay with going it, but when you've got the opportunity to get a guy like Sam Hartman, you take it. Like I don't have an issue with the route that Notre Dame went. I really don't have an issue with it. It didn't work out.
Well, I don't either. It just didn't work out the way it was supposed to work out.
Yeah, it didn't work out. I mean, that's it is what it is.
Yeah, and that's kind of the danger of dipping back into the portal again. There is no guarantee that it's going to work out better. Like if you're going after one of these supposed big guns or whatever, and Drake May's name came up in there. Drake May's going to be
going
the number
to the
2
NFL,
pick in the draft.
Like he's out.
not he's not staying for another year in college.
There's no bonus for him to come to Notre Dame. There's nothing outside of, I guess, a chance to win a national championship, but everybody in the chat would be like, Notre Dame's never going to win a national championship, so it doesn't matter. Like, I don't see that at all.
Sam Hartman accomplished like the minimal he was looking for in coming to Notre Dame. He raised his profile. He got a boatload of NIL money by coming here, and essentially gave himself an insurance policy in case the NFL doesn't work out. And unfortunately for him, based on his play, especially in the last 5 games, it's looking more and more like the NFL thing, is going to be he'll
get into the NFL. He'll get in. It's just a matter of what does that look like.
He'll get into a camp. I don't know that he's going to stick around based on.
Who knows? It just depends on what. I mean, you said it. The NFL play in the NFL. I mean, the quarterback play in the NFL right now is spotty at best. So, let's see what happens. It could be a good situation that he falls into. There's a million different scenarios because there's a lot of subpar quarterbacks that have jobs in the NFL right now. That's what I'll say.
W.O. Lewis says the way Hartman played this year, he thinks it would be difficult to recruit a high-level recruit to Notre Dame. Thoughts on that?
I don't think it has anything to do with it because all you got to say is here's how much money he made at Notre Dame. And here's how your profile will look at Notre Dame.
Yeah. And again, you're setting yourself up with a nice you're setting yourself up with a nice backup plan if the NFL doesn't work out.
So, it would not be difficult to recruit at Notre Dame. And let's all be real clear on this. You can have your opinion of Marcus Freeman as a game day coach and as a leader of your program. He's still an elite recruiter. You get him in a living room with a guy, he's probably going to win that battle. So I am not worried in any way about recruiting somebody to Notre Dame. I'm just not, especially a high-level quarterback, because now Notre Dame has a proven track record that a Notre Dame quarterback can make a boatload of money at Notre Dame. So it doesn't take much recruiting to do that.
Yep. Couple more super chats from Wicked Bronco. You can't mess around and bring a guy in and risk losing Minchie, Carr, or Deuce Knight to the portal. That's why you just give Dylan a scholarship. I think they need.
No, you need something higher level.
Dylan Devison's got a nice arm and all that kind of stuff, but they need actual true depth.
Right.
You don't just. I don't think you give Dylan Devison a scholarship. They need true depth in that room. They've got to get that set, because odds are very high in today's world that there are still going to be guys entering the transfer portal at some point.
Right.
Because guess what? Not everyone's going to get to start, and you've got 3 young quarterbacks in that room as it is. And just the odds say that somebody's going to leave. So you need to get actual scholarship quarterbacks in that room for actual depth and not just walk on camp arm type guys.
Absolutely. And so, I mean, you're looking for, an Ivy League guy that's looking for a graduate transfer, that kind of like that's the kind of depth arm that I'm talking about.
I went through the Ivy League last week.
Look at you. I knew you would.
I made this list, and then Jesse and I were talking about the quarterbacks on Thursday, and then I accidentally deleted the list when I was copying and pasting something. But I counted roughly 8 guys throughout the Ivy League, from different teams, and some teams that like with remaining eligibility who would be exhausting their what's their likely eligibility in the Ivy League, because I don't think they really, since they don't give scholarships and all that stuff,
right.
you don't typically see a lot of fifth-year guys hanging around out there in the Ivy League. So there's roughly 8 Ivy League type quarterbacks with varying degrees of experience who could potentially, be an option as like a number 4 guy. If you're just talking depth in the room, if it's only depth in the room, you're looking for like a fallback type guy.
Right.
So, there's some guys available out there.
It wouldn't take a whole lot of recruiting to get a guy like that to come to Notre Dame to get his graduate degree. I'm sorry. It just wouldn't. An opportunity to play at Notre Dame, play on Notre Dame's team, I should say, and, have that opportunity to get a free graduate degree from the University of Notre Dame. Even if he had 2 years of eligibility left, I could see them bringing a guy like that in, because he's not going to scare away any of the guys that you've recruited already. Those guys are all still going to compete, and they're all still going to see where the chips fall and all of those different things. I have no problem with Notre Dame trying to get a 4th scholarship quarterback.
But let me just ask you this. Let's say Cam Rising is interested. Cam Rising wants to come to Notre Dame. Does that get you excited?
No, not even a little bit.
Really?
It doesn't. I'm sorry. I don't know. Does not excite me. I think the ceiling of the guys that are already on the roster is higher than Cam Rising. And that's what I would go with.
See, and that's how you've got to look, part of how you have to look at next year. And when we were having this discussion on Thursday, like I couldn't believe how many people were just scared to death about opening the season at Texas A&M.
Yeah, I know, right? I was never that worried about it. Like, it's a tough place to play. Don't get me wrong. They got a lot of athletes and all that. But now that they fired Jimbo, it's going to be a wholesale, like half that team's going to be in the transfer portal. That game now definitely no longer scares me in any way, shape, or form. It doesn't.
So Wicked Broncos with another super chat. After Hartman proved to not be as good as we thought, I don't want Cam Rising. Rising is basically Hartman without the beard.
I mean, I don't know. I just haven't been all that impressed with who Cam Rising is when he's able to play. And there's no guarantee once he comes back from this injury.
Gamer.
Well, he's also been out for a year. So
you're right about that.
That would give me great pause at that point. Now, I think at this point, he's like, I'm not playing the rest of the year because I'm going to preserve my year, et cetera, et cetera. But that would give me great pause that he hasn't played in a year. So what am I getting? Kind of a buyer's beware kind of a thing. I just don't think it's worth it. I don't think stunting the growth of the guys that you have in house already to bring in Cam Rising is the answer.
If you're looking at an actual starting type quarterback, like Cam Rising is really, assuming he enters the portal. We don't even know that he's going to enter the portal, but he would be this year's version of Sam Hartman, a guy with a lot of experience, won a lot of games, done some things, but still something to prove kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I absolutely I'm thinking about, the landscape of college football and all of that. Like, it's the kid from LSU going in the transfer portal. Like, okay, I'd grab him. You know what I mean? Like, that would be a kid that I wouldn't mind stunting the growth of the room for, but I'm talking about that level of kid, not Cam Rising. So I guess that's where I'm at with the whole quarterback thing at this point with the schedule because I wonder if a lot of people have looked at next year's schedule. It is not great. Okay, there's 11 teams on the schedule right now.
I know, and that's why, I can't, even if Jimbo was going to stay at Texas A&M, I can't get like so scared
Yeah.
about next year just because they open the season at A&M. It's
Right.
a schedule that's very conducive
Yes.
to, even if you lose 2 games, you're going to be right in the mix for
Yes.
being in the playoff next year.
100%.
For the 12-team playoff.
And they're going to add a 12th game, obviously, but I've heard through the grapevine that it's going to be Army and it's going to be a Shamrock Series game.
Right.
That game doesn't scare you either, folks. Like, I'm sorry. The only games on that schedule that even give me pause, okay, I guess Texas A&M on the road, opening game, brand new starting quarterback. Okay, that gives you pause. There's a possibility that you lose that game, but it's gotten a lot closer to confident with over the weekend, right? Louisville, got to take them seriously after what they're doing this year, obviously. Florida State, but you've got that game, Louisville game, home. Florida State, home. And then USC, God only knows what kind of dumpster fire that's going to be next year, based on how they're finishing off their season this year. So other than that, I mean, Northern Illinois, Miami of Ohio, Stanford, Georgia Tech, Navy, Virginia. Like, this is a perfect opportunity for Notre Dame to break in a guy that they've had on the roster, or if it's CJ Carr as a true freshman, if he completely wows everybody and starts, okay, fine. But like, this schedule is not this year's schedule. Next year's schedule is not 23. You got a great opportunity to make some waves, and then you add in the possibility that you just mentioned. It's a 12-team playoff. It's a 12-team playoff. Like, a 2-loss team is in the 12-team playoff, folks. And so if you want to say that Louisville and Florida State are going to be tough games, let's say they lose those games. Notre Dame's in the 12-team playoff, folks. Like, and they're hosting a game most likely. So just saying, this is the opportunity right now. This is the opportunity to.
You just addressed this. Wicked Broncos just put this. He didn't do it in a super chat this time, but any idea who the 12th team could be? Vince just said it. Army is the team that's been floated out there, and a Shamrock Series at Yankee Stadium is
that what it is? Okay.
Is what has been discussed.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
that's what I've heard.
Oh, yeah. So there you go. So, I mean, guys, this schedule is not that daunting. Yes, Louisville's a good team. Florida State's good team. Okay.
And don't forget, I can't remember if you and I talked about, it's been so long since you and I were here, but don't forget Stanford's going to be an ACC game going forward. So when you look at, Miami was supposed to be on the schedule next year, Stanford already on the schedule, and it's going to be ACC. So I would assume that is going to be, sort of that takes the place of losing the Miami game because of Miami's overcommitment to, some non-conference powder puff on their schedule, a bye game that they've got, that Stanford just becomes an ACC game, and that kind of makes up for that. And then, again, you add Army, boom, now you've got 12 on your schedule.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Okay. Some more comments from Marcus Freeman on the quarterback subject.
There we go.
Today. Has he seen enough of Steve Angeli and Kenny Menchie, or does he need to see more of those guys in the next few weeks? Let's see if I can get this. Here it is.
No, I have a lot of confidence in both of them. Steve Angeli's done a great job, even in both bye weeks and that time he had versus Pitt. He's performed at a high level. And as I told Steve and Kenny, who's done a really good job in practice, that we owe it to this program to try to put 4 quarterbacks on scholarship. That's the number we have allotted for. Now, we have 3 right now, right? But we've had, since I became a head coach and even before it, the number being 4, and if somebody transfers and then all of a sudden you're down to 3, you're down 3. But we want to try to always have 4 guys on scholarship. But that has nothing to do in my beliefs in Steve Angeli and Kenny Menchie. Both of those guys are extremely talented, and I can see being the leader of our program as we move forward.
So, good talk. What you would expect from Marcus Freeman. Of course, you're going to bring CJ Carr into the mix. And the big question is going to be, whoever this magical fourth guy becomes, whether he is a
Right.
top of the depth chart guy, a middle of the depth chart guy, or, again, just, another arm. Steve Angeli is going to be a junior. And look, nobody thought Drew Pine would jump the way he jumped. But as soon as he found out that they were bringing in another guy, he's like, look, I'm gone. I'm going to go play someplace. And he went to Arizona State and got his opportunity. And then, of course, it wasn't long, so like there can be a big ripple effect on, depending on what kind of guy you bring in and what your true plan is, for this guy that you're bringing in. And as Deborah says, her fear, losing Angeli and Minchie both to the portal. Who's going to be left at the transfer portal quarterback gets hurt.
That's assuming that they're going to bring in a high-level quarterback to start.
Right.
And I just don't
think
that's
a top-end guy.
Case. Yeah, that's a top-end guy. So, Deborah, I think you're going to be okay. And I don't see Kenny Minchie leaving after being here for 1 year. I just that's a hard pill for me to swallow.
Especially since he's got all of his eligibility remaining.
Right.
He doesn't. There's nothing for him to worry about right now. So
I do want to address. I'll start. We can address that one too.
All right. I just threw one from Coleman up. He said, if Book could start for 3 years, Kenny Minchie and CJ, who have far more physical and mental abilities, should be given a shot to duke it out. And I cannot disagree with that at all.
There's a lot of things Coleman says I don't agree with. This one, I am 100% on board. Okay. Both Kenny Minchie, CJ Carr, and arguably Steve Angeli. He's a less athletic version, though. Steve Angeli is a less athletic version of Book. But yes, they should both be given an opportunity to duke it out. And I think that they will at the end of the day. Now, it's going to be very, very difficult for CJ Carr as a true freshman to beat out a guy that's already been in college for a year. Not only that, but CJ Carr, and I have not seen him lately, right? But the last time I saw CJ Carr, he still needed to do a lot of filling out. Great arm, all of those things, smart kid. He did not have the quote unquote suit of armor that it would get him through a college football season. So he really needed some time to bulk up and get, again, I haven't seen him lately. I'm not the recruiting guy, but last time I saw him, he had a lot of like physical maturing to do. So again, that's going to be tough to beat out a guy like Kenny Minchie, who, is much more physically mature than CJ Carr.
Yeah. D-Rock. Haven't heard from old D-Rock in a while. He says, in his opinion, we go QB portal. That means Geno is not producing as it should be.
I couldn't disagree with that more. Yeah, I couldn't disagree with that comment more because
got a lot of people excited about Steve Angeli, right?
Right.
If you're excited about Steve Angeli, he's got to be doing something right. It can't all be wrong.
And a lot of people are excited about Kenny Minchie too and what he's been able to do at practice.
Yeah.
And so, they're not going, again, I don't believe they're going to the portal looking for a starter. They're going to the portal to look for a fourth arm for practice. That's why they're going to the portal. They're looking for a depth piece in case something happens to one of these guys. They could step in and be a veteran voice and all of those different things. I really don't think that they're looking for a starter. I just don't see that being the case. And so it's not a knock on Geno. It's a knock on the fact that they don't have 4 scholarship quarterbacks. That's the issue. You're losing Hartman. You're bringing in Carr. You're stuck at 3. You need 4. Any healthy college football program would ask any coach out there. They want 4. They want 4.
Coleman's firing back at you. What part of what he said do you disagree with, Vince?
Oh, you were saying something earlier that I was like, come on, Coleman. I don't remember.
Come on, Coleman.
I don't remember. I like to argue with a lot of people. Just ask my wife. Newman.
Wicked Broncos, another super chat. What about Quinn Ewers? We can literally throw out a million different names, and like there's Quinn Ewers NFL talk, and
sure
he is
he could go. Yeah, he could go.
And, yeah,
he's draft eligible. He
said
could go.
Rumors have him transferring because Arch wants to start in year 2. I don't think that Sark is going to start Arch just because Arch wants to start in year 2.
That's hilarious to me.
So
that is hilarious. Now, I have said it all along. I don't think Arch is as good as his ranking was. I think his last name helped him out with that an awful lot in the games that I saw. And if I'm the head coach, like, I don't give a crap what you want. It's what we're going to do for our program. If Quinn Ewers is still around, he's going to start next year. I don't know if he'll still be around, whether he goes to the NFL or whatever. It's not going to happen. They're not going to push Quinn Ewers out the door. I don't see that happening. No.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I completely agree. I mean, they're what, 9-1?
Right. They're
right
not going to.
now.
Yeah. Thanks for nothing. We're going to start this guy with zero experience.
Yeah. I mean, if
who's
Ewers
been third string all year, by the way,
if Ewers stays, then that's perfect for Texas. They're still trying to get that program built back up again, and they're going to the SEC next year.
Yeah.
Do you really want to be going into the SEC with Arch Manning as your starting quarterback? Everyone's, like I said, everyone last week was sweating about going to Texas A&M, Notre Dame to start off the season. Do you want to be Texas as a program going to the SEC with Arch Manning, who now he can be a lot different looking quarterback because he has been able to practice it, but we all saw the film of him in their spring game last year. It's like, you don't want to be going in with that kind of inexperience going to the SEC in year one.
I mean, he's the third string quarterback this year.
Yeah.
Third string. So he would have to get through Quinn Ewers, and I believe Malik Murphy, isn't he the second string guy who hasn't looked terrible when he was playing when Quinn Ewers was out? So, and John.
Hot take. John saying Arch Manning's coming to Notre Dame, entering the transfer portal.
Saying he's entering the transfer portal. Okay, good. Bye. I would be upset if Arch Manning came to Notre Dame. How about that? I'll say that. I don't want him here. I don't. We had a quarterback here with a prolific last name. It didn't turn out very well.
That's true. Sean Michael, Vince, tough loss this weekend. We haven't even had a chance to commiserate on that. I'm sure you don't want to. Great game. Speaking of quarterbacks, how would you spread out the reps these last two games? If they do it correctly, maybe Freeman finds he doesn't need a portal guy. And then I'll piggyback that with this from Tim. Odds of Angeli and Minchie getting some real reps this season.
So how would you break it down? Look, Sam Hartman is your starter until he doesn't want to be the starter anymore. Okay. So that is the last two games of the season as well as the bowl game. Okay. Now, if he, opts out of the bowl game or whatever, then, you obviously figure out what you have moving forward. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm totally fine with whoever the second string quarterback is. And that's up to Notre Dame, by the way, to decide who their second string quarterback is. And that's been Steve Angeli all year. Okay. And so I think that you build in a series for him. I think maybe it's a quick hook for Sam Hartman, depending on what the score of the game is, but you play it, you go into the game with a game plan of, okay, well, I'm not going to pull Sam Hartman out of the game before I would pull any of the other starters out of the game. I wouldn't do that. Right. And so maybe it's a quicker hook if you have a, 2-3 touchdown lead, and you're feeling good about the way the game is going. And then you put Angeli in and have him do his thing. And that's fine. I have no problem with that. Kind of like they did in the Pittsburgh game, to be honest with you. I thought they gave Angeli a 2-3 series, whatever it was. He moved the offense, did a good job. It's the same situation. I'm not changing anything. Now, maybe I give Angeli a few more reps with the ones during practice, that sort of a thing. You do that generally at the end of the season anyway, because you want to give your starter a little bit of rest, that sort of deal. I'm just not.
You have had 2 bye weeks in the last month.
That's true.
As well.
No. So. That is very true. And so I don't really do anything all that differently. I really don't. And I know that's not what people want to hear.
Well, look,
as a coach, that's what I'm doing.
We talked about it on Thursday's show. These are not exhibition games. Right. And Marcus Freeman is not going to approach them like they're exhibition games. Nope. These are real games that count for, how people look at Marcus Freeman. They count on his record. And even though you're sitting here at 7-3 right now, you're going to play in a bowl game and you've got a chance to win 10 games, and that does matter. The opportunity to still get to double-digit wins in a season, especially for a head coach, when you look back, Google any coach's name and pull up his record, and the first thing you do is you start looking at how many 10-win seasons did he have, or you look at season by season.
Yeah.
This is still an opportunity for Marcus Freeman to get to 10 wins this season.
It is,
with a bowl game, and you don't approach these like they're exhibition games. I agree with what you're saying. If you can work in Angeli and or Minchie at some point when you have the appropriate lead. Now, like Jess and I disagreed on maybe what the lead needed to be.
That's fair.
Before you get him in, but I wouldn't mind seeing him for a series or two. But
right.
You still have to approach this. Whoever Marcus Freeman and Gino Gaduli and Jared Parker think gives them the best chance to win, that's who you go with. And
absolutely,
and you play him as if he's the regular starter. If they truly think Steve Angeli is the guy, okay, then make Steve Angeli the guy. But I don't think that that's their thinking, and I don't think that that's what they're going to do.
Let me ask you a question. You were a head coach, correct?
Correct.
When it became mathematically impossible for you to win the conference, did you just bench all your seniors and play a bunch of sophomores and freshmen?
No. Even though they all and their parents would have,
right,
obviously preferred that.
That's just not what you do. You still go game to game to game with the guys that you think, as the coach and your coaching staff, give you the best opportunity to win. Period. That's what you do. Now, has Sam Hartman played well the past couple of games? No, he's not played well, and he'll be the first one to admit it, and he has been the first one to admit it. He still gives you the best chance to win. I'm sorry. He still gives you the best chance to win. And like you said, there's an opportunity for a 10-win season right here, right in front of them, with 2 games that you should win going away. Okay? You should win going away, which will give plenty of opportunity for a backup quarterback and backups at other places to play. No problem, right? And if Sam Hartman decides he wants to play in a bowl game, he gets the start in the bowl game too. That's how I operate.
USMA 87 says, no way Hartman plays in a bowl game. And then a super chat from Paul, totally fine with Hartman finishing out the season. He earned it, but also fine if he wants to opt out to prepare for the CFL.
And maybe he will. I don't know what he's going to do.
It's going to be interesting. I think that this is more of a decision than maybe USMA 87 is saying right there, because he's a day 3 draft guy right now. It's not like he's preparing to try to be even a second round draft pick. He's a day 3 guy no matter what. He's not going any higher than that. And we talked about it last week. I think he is projected right now like the 12th best quarterback in this class. If things had worked out differently over this last month and a half, we'd be having a different conversation. Sure. But I think there's a very realistic chance that he sticks around and plays in a bowl game this year.
I completely agree, because what's one of the reasons that Sam Hartman came to Notre Dame? It was to play in a pro style offense, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you're telling me that he doesn't want to get, like, let's say Notre Dame draws LSU in a bowl game. Okay, let's just put that out there. Okay, Notre Dame draws LSU. LSU is still a high-level opponent, a high-level SEC opponent. You're telling me that Sam Hartman doesn't want to get more film of him playing against a high-level SEC opponent? Why would he not want to do that?
Right.
I don't see the downside. And okay, USMA says, why risk the injury? He's a day 3 draft pick, man.
Because he's not a first or second round guy where all the money is.
It's not the risk that you think it is. That's the thing. That's why. When you
he got his insurance policy by coming here and getting his NIL money this year.
If you want to do like a risk analysis, him risking injury, he can gain more by playing well against like an LSU team than he can lose by getting hurt. I really do believe that.
I do too.
I really do. So,
I do too.
Yeah, I just...
It would be different, obviously, if we're talking about a Caleb Williams or a Drake May. That, and literally those might be the only 2 guys. I mean, there are some others in the middle there, but especially those 2 guys at the top of the draft, completely different scenarios with them, because they're going to go at the top of the draft and make boatloads of money. Whereas that's just not the case for Sam Hartman. He's a day 3 guy, and you're right. Maybe if he does play well against a decent name team, he does kind of, turn a head or two a little bit and kind of give somebody a second pause. But as of right now, he's got there's 6 years worth of film on this guy.
Right.
So I don't see risk reward being so great that forces him not to play in a bowl game. Now, could there be a conversation behind the scenes, even, where they talk about, Sam Hartman and Freeman sit down and have a heart to heart, and it's like, what do you want me to do, Coach? What's best for the program?
I could see that be the case too. You know what I mean? So, and here's the other thing, and I'll just throw this out there because I think it's just fun to talk about. If Notre Dame does draw LSU, you're going to see a lot more Notre Dame guys opt in because they want to beat Brian Kelly. The LSU guys, they're all going to opt out because they don't give a crap. And so Notre Dame's chances of winning that game just went through the roof, in my opinion.
Interesting take.
Yeah.
I never thought about it that way, but that could be very right.
I'm just saying, I would not be surprised to see a Joe Alt, a Cam Hart. You see these guys, no, I'm playing in this game. I could see it. I really could. I
got a couple of women's basketball questions that I've had queued up here for a little bit. I'm going to save for some rapid fire. You ready for rapid fire right now?
So ready. Like we could talk about this for hours, but I'm ready.
I know.
For rapid fire.
So I've seen this pop up just within the last few minutes here in the chat. Fill in the blank. It's blank that Notre Dame versus Stanford will air on the Pac-12 Network.
Well, I'm upset that it's a night game. I don't care what network it's on. It stinks that it's a night game again. Like, you're really going to put Stanford, who's 3-7, Notre Dame, who's 7-3, on at 7:00. Like, that's a barf. That's barf music. But you realize you can't watch the Pac-12 Network here in town, right? I can.
Like, where do you get the Pac-12 Network?
Fubo.
Really?
Yeah.
So dish out some more on this. I have no idea.
Well, our Irish Breakdown account of Fubo, you can watch the Pac-12 Network.
Do you have to watch it like on your phone?
It's a streaming situation, so you can watch it on your TV, with your smart TV. I know you got a smart TV. You're a smart guy. You got a smart TV.
Well, I'm going to have to get the login from you.
Yeah,
then.
I got you, baby. Don't worry. All right. But yeah, no, it's ridiculous. It's the Peacock argument, right? I mean, that's what it is. For Notre Dame fans, it's the Peacock argument. Like, a lot of fans aren't going to be able to watch this game, and I get it why people would be upset. But as much bitching it gets done about Notre Dame, like, why do you want to watch it? People are so upset with everything. Why do you want to put yourself through that?
I was looking, there aren't that many great games that weekend, but I get it. Notre Dame is 7-3. Stanford is 3-7. Usually it's kind of been a fallback for Fox. And like John is saying, the Stanford game should be on ABC. I completely understand why ABC doesn't want
of course
Notre Dame and Stanford. This just kind of feels like it's like the Pac-12 is crumbling. It's like the last days of the Pac-12 network. And it's like, let's kind of stick it to all these Notre Dame fans and Notre Dame, and we'll just stick it on the Pac-12 network out of here in the swan song. But hey, don't fret, because next year this game will probably be on the ACC network.
Right. Exactly.
With Stanford going to the ACC.
Exactly. The Pac-12 network is owned by ESPN, aren't they?
No, they're not.
They're not? Are they just their own entity?
It's part of the reason that the Pac-12 network doesn't have more distribution, because ESPN, I guess, like, they wanted to, to prop up the Pac-12 network like they've done with the SEC in the ACC. But the Pac-12 was like, no, we've got this. We're good. We'll go at our own. And, look what that got them. Another second-tier TV network. So
yeah, exactly.
I guess you better get your free Fubo TV subscriptions if you want to watch this thing.
I was surprised that they put it on the Pac-12 network, because Notre Dame, regardless, is still going to bring eyeballs, and you would think it would be on ESPN, or it would be. I mean, come on,
the last few years,
ESPN2, come on.
Last few years, it's been out there. At these, when the games are at Stanford this last weekend, the Thanksgiving weekend, it's been on Fox. And, there have obviously been times when it's been on ABC or one of the ESPNs or whatever, but Fox has had it the last few years.
Right.
Not this year. So Irish center Zeke Correll is in concussion protocol, and right guard Rocco Spindler is out for the rest of the season after having knee surgery. So here's Marcus Freeman. What he says is the plan for Saturday's game in the home finale against Wake Forest.
Would do right now is you will see how we finish the game with Billy Schroff coming in at the right guard position, and then Ashton Craig did a really good job filling in at the center position. I was really impressed with what he did. Now, Andrew played well. He still has a high ankle sprain. Didn't practice much last week, but I think if we played today, it would be Ashton Craig and Billy Schroff, and we'll see how Zeke progresses this week, and then even Andrew Kristofik, how he progresses.
So there you go. He laid it out. Scale of 1 to 10. What's your confidence in Notre Dame's offensive line this weekend, Vince?
Like a 7, I would say. I think I have a lot of faith in Billy Schroff and what he's going to be able to do. I'm still shocked, to be honest with you, that he didn't get the starting nod at the beginning of the year. Ashton Craig at center, that's my bigger worry, because I think, Zeke Correll didn't play well, obviously, against Clemson. He got pushed around a lot, but he's still one of the leaders on that offensive line. So that worries me a little bit more, but everybody wants the young kids. So here's your opportunity to see what these two young guys can do and what it's going to look like. And so I put it like a 7. I don't think that they could do. The offensive line didn't play well last game. They just didn't play well. So let's see what these guys can do. Can't be any worse than what it was this past game.
Yeah, and the level of competition is going to change dramatically.
That's also true.
Wake Forest defense is not Clemson's defense.
Right.
At least we knew going in Clemson was going to have a respectable defensive front, and they played that way. So my level of confidence is still an 8. The kind of guys on the offensive line that Notre Dame is going to roll out there are still going to be appreciably better than anything that Wake Forest has across from them in the front 7. So I think that, and you're going to see some guys essentially kind of get some opportunities here.
Right.
These last couple of games. Everybody wants guys to have chances and stuff like that. So these are going to be some chances for some of these guys.
Yep.
So
I think it's great. I have no problem with it, because again, against the competition that they're going to be playing against, this is a nice opportunity to get them in. That's fine.
Yep.
But they're not. Here's the difference, though, right? They're not putting these guys in over guys that are healthy just because they're seniors.
Right.
They're putting them in because there's injuries. And
right.
So if that's the case, then yeah, no problem. Go for it.
Correct. So the NCAA has decided to ban these photo shoots from the unofficial visits, and Notre Dame's Chad Bowden doesn't like it. Here's what he told Steve Wiltfong from 24/7. Quote, schools not wanting to do photo shoots and video shoots for recruits are wrong. These are 15, 16, 17-year-old kids that deserve to enjoy their experience. Visualizing being in the locker room, on the field, and in the uniform is important. These schools are lazy, and it's a hassle for them. If they don't like it, they should go work in the NFL. It's all about the kids. We want photo shoots and video shoots for the kids. We're going to fight like crazy to do right by them. End quote. So that's from Chad Bowden. And Marcus Freeman was asked about it at his press conference today as well. And here's what the Irish head coach had to say.
And we want to make sure that we maximize the experience for young people when they visit our campus. And for a lot of those guys, they love photo shoots, right? And they love to do the photo and video shoots. And we want them to have the greatest experience when they come to our campus. But we also understand the labor and the demands on your program and those people that work for you that it takes to continue to do photo shoots over and over and over and over. And so there is no easy answer, right? In that there's people above me that make those decisions on what you're allowed to do on recruiting visits. To second that, I've had a conversation, I reiterated to our staff, is that our only obligation is to talk about Notre Dame football. And it's not to question what any other football program is doing. And it's not to say what another program should do or shouldn't do. It's about what Notre Dame football does. And again, we want to really maximize the experience young people have when they come to Notre Dame within the rules that are set, right? But in no way are we going to critique another program and what they decide to do.
All right, Vince. So what do you think about all this? No more photo shoots on the unofficial visits.
So I got 2 points that I want to make. Number one,
Okay.
It's ridiculous that they're taking away something as stupid and as minimal as a photo shoot. That's silly. There are more issues that the NCAA needs to worry about than whether people are taking pictures or not. I went with my son to a NAIA game, okay, and they'd had a photo shoot set up.
Yeah.
And he had a great
You
time.
went with Jesse on a visit.
Yes.
And they had a photo shoot set up.
Yeah.
And this was what, 10 years ago, 12 years ago or
That's
whatever at this point.
Ridiculous. That's ridiculous. My second point is that it was very clear that Marcus Freeman did a little hand slapping on Chad Bowden. Because
I was going to say, Marcus did a little bit more soft shoot than Chad Bowden
Well,
did with his
he also said, we're not going to talk about other programs, which is a direct, because Chad called other programs lazy. And he's like, we're not going to talk about other programs. We're going to talk about our program. I thought that was kind of an indirect shot.
Look, this is what it comes down to. Yeah. It's like you can't afford a freaking, a guy with a – everyone's got some kind of social media department at this point. And that's a big part of why you do it, because the kids all obviously have social media as well, and they want to be able to share this stuff and make themselves look cool.
Right.
Look, I went on a visit and they put me in the uniform, and here's all the cool stuff that I'm doing. Is it really that hard?
Sean,
is it really that hard to hire a guy with a freaking or a girl with a camera and take a couple photos? No, it's not. It's idiotic. And it's, it's like, because you remember when they decided that, we've got to scale down the media guide, and nobody even does media guides now because it costs everybody money to make them. But, Notre Dame used to have a big, thick media guide, and there were other schools who were bitching because, they couldn't afford 100 pages of a media guide. Right. So they're like, no, nobody can have the media guides, and it's got to be a certain size of the media guides. And they dumbed it down because a few of the smaller schools complained, and that's where you are right now. Everyone's got some kind of, even if it's somebody in the sports information department doubling as a social media person, everyone's got somebody doing social media now, because social media is everywhere.
Yep.
And it's idiotic that they're saying that people can't do it now, because it's what the kids want. The kids get to show themselves off when they go to whatever program it happens to be. It's stupid.
It's ridiculous. And Sean, when I was the head baseball coach at a local high school here, we had open enrollment. So kids could choose which high school they wanted to go to.
Right.
And they would come visit. I did photo shoots with 8th graders to try to get them to come to my school. I had all the jerseys set up, and we had 4 different jerseys, and we had, all this different stuff. So I had it all laid out in the locker room, and I let them try one on, took their picture, sent it to their parents. We did a photo shoot with 8th graders, okay? These kids want to do stuff like that. And Chad's absolutely right. They want to envision themselves, in the gear, on the field, on the golden throne, whatever the case may be. Why are you regulating something so stupid? It just, I don't know. It just blows my mind. So they can only do it on official visits. They can't do it on unofficial visits. Dumb.
CN says Pac-12 channel decision was more in the same regards to horribly stupid executive decisions made at Notre Dame in this era. Good Lord, are these people self-destructive and tragically Ill-advised.
So I starred that one because I just want to make it very clear that Notre Dame has nothing to do.
Yeah, this is not a Notre Dame decision.
Nothing to do with what is televised when they're on the road.
Right.
The home team gets to decide who goes where. So,
well, the networks that are involved with
right,
the conference Notre Dame happens to play get to make those decisions. And
well, right, and
in the case of the Pac-12, you've got ESPN/Disney and Fox both involved, and they've both apparently passed on the opportunity to televise this game, which leaves it down to the Pac-12 Network.
right,
unfortunately,
and Notre Dame had zero say on this. So,
yes.
We can blame Notre Dame for a lot of things, and I have no problem with that. But in this particular case, Notre Dame had nothing to do with it.
Right. Couple women's basketball things here. DJ, hey everyone, women's basketball Saturday, 1:00 on NBC. Watch the women play and then right into the football game. Yep, I'll be out. They're doing this will be the second annual City Shamrock game, and it's going to be in Washington, D.C.
Yep.
They're playing Illinois, a ranked Illinois team. We'll see tomorrow when the new rankings come out where everyone is ranked, but should be a pretty good matchup. And you're absolutely right. It's going to roll right into football. 1:00 women's basketball game, Notre Dame in Illinois and Washington, D.C., and then right into Notre Dame Wake Forest in the home finale.
At 3:30. So, yeah, that's going to be – I'm not going to be able to sit next to you during the game, Sean.
I know.
A little upset about the whole situation.
It's been a while since I've had to miss
a
football game, a home football
A home game, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not right.
Kevin asked, what's going on with Kassan Prosper not getting any playing time? She is with the Canadian national team, and they're in the middle of some qualifying right now. So she was actually away from Notre Dame this weekend. That's why she didn't play yesterday. So,
yep. And when you know when she's rejoining the team?
I am not sure. I've got to check on that. I'm not sure how long that lasts.
Okay. Gotcha.
I thought it was just the weekend, but
okay.
Again, I'll have to double check. So, but that's why she didn't play yesterday. And, look, this is not a knock on her, obviously, by any means. They did all right. I was impressed by the scrappiness, the feistiness of the NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology team. I thought it was a nice little challenge for Notre Dame coming off, that week in Paris and coming back, time zones and all that to kind of be pushed a little bit for a quarter by a team that wanted to scrap with them a little bit. And talent in their own effort ended up winning out. Things went pretty well.
I was very disappointed I couldn't watch the game, but I listened to you, so that was good. Yeah.
Okay. Good. And Hannah Hidalgo, by the way, named ACC Rookie of the Week for
she's going to get a lot of those.
31 against South Carolina, 26 yesterday, and a tightest school record with 12 steals in just her second game. So things going.
She's going to get a lot of those. I have a feeling this year, but we'll see.
Yep. Fill in the blank. It's blank that the Big Ten says it's punishing Jim Harbaugh now with his suspension in part because he could leave for the NFL next year.
That is the dumbest thing they could have possibly said, to be perfectly honest with you.
The fact that they said this out loud.
What, exactly.
They put this in writing. They put this in writing.
That's so stupid. You can say that behind closed doors, and maybe it's true, but there are plenty of other reasons to suspend Jim Harbaugh right now. How about, we have enough evidence to show that he had something to do with this, or we have enough evidence to show that Michigan broke the rules, and so the buck stops with the head coach, and so we're suspending the head coach. Don't say, "Oh, well, he might not be here. We got to punish him now." No, that is terrible. That the Big Ten is so incompetent. You want to talk about Notre Dame's administration being incompetent? The Big Ten administration is incompetent, and they are proving it day in and day out. Why you would say that out in public and put it in writing is absolutely beyond me.
Yeah, I was just reading a different. I need to star something here in this, but yeah, I completely agree with you. It's like any coach could theoretically, pack up and move to the next residence at any time. And it feels like they're trying to, they got kind of bamboozled, I think they think by Pete Carroll back in the day. So it's like, oh, we got to get ahead of Jim Harbaugh now and cut him off in case he tries to bolt for the NFL and this whole thing. The fact that they put that in writing and included that in their rationale, they had enough other evidence. Look, no matter what any Michigan man wants to say, everything that Michigan has not denied what they're being accused of doing. Their only defense is, well, everybody else is doing it.
Right.
So
and their other defense is don't do anything to us this season.
Right.
Make sure you get, due process, take time, because they think that they're going to win a national championship this year and they don't want anything to poo-poo that. So they're just like, be normal, NCAA, take your time on this. Like, that's all they're worried about. Yes. That's it.
Idiotic.
It's unbelievable.
The fact that the NCAA, or the Big Ten, rather, I shouldn't say the NCAA, the Big Ten said that. They had enough evidence just to, this is what we're going with, and that's what they did. So who had the better post-game reaction? Michigan's Sharon Moore crying after the win over Penn State, or Ryan Day's whole Lou Holtz rant after the win over Notre Dame earlier this season?
This is a fantastic question because they were both so bad. I mean, they were both so bad. But I think I have to go with the Michigan guy and crying and swearing and dude,
hilarious.
I mean, what are you doing? I mean, I just, he's like, I effing love you, man. It was so bad. It was so bad. Ryan Day taking shots at an 80-year-old man is bad enough, but he took it to a whole other level with the tears and
At least Moore's reaction was authentic because, Ryan Day basically told whoever was standing next to him, right before he was like, well, watch this. Totally prefabricated, none of that was even authentic. He was like, oh, I'm gonna stand up here, whatever Sharon Moore is going through, it's like he at least it was real, right?
I guess
it's still real to him. But it was
so bad.
Watching it's just so cringeworthy. It's trying to go back and watch the whole thing.
The response on social media was fantastic. There was people like, Jim Harbaugh's still alive, right?
Right.
It just if he would have died, okay, if he would no longer be with us, it was still an overreactive reaction. I mean, it was so bad.
I know. I will tell you this though, seeing Blake Corum with the blood streaming down his face, and the whole thing,
that was cool.
I've got more respect for Blake Corum than probably anyone in the Michigan football program. And hearing him actually sit down and talk, rational response, and the whole thing with blood streaming down his face, that guy.
I give him I was like, okay, you know what? Respect. That, he took a beating in that game and was still able to put sentences together, unlike some other people wearing the same colors.
I just can't.
It was so bad, Sean. It was so bad.
I know. He was just so full of his emotions, man. Fill in the blank. It's blank that Fox's Joel Klatt said Oregon's defense would be the best defense USC and Caleb Williams have faced to this point in the season.
I was trying to come up with a good fill in the blank for it's clickbait. He's trying to pub the game that's coming up, essentially. That's all it is to me, because if he actually went back and looked, Notre Dame is the best defense that he faced all season. And I'm not just saying that because I follow Notre Dame and whatever. They made him look pedestrian in that game. They made him look bad in that game. They had him seeing ghosts, whatever you want to say. It was impressive what Notre Dame's defense did to Caleb Williams. No defense has done that to him all season, because he's been in shootouts with teams where he's actually played pretty stinking well, and they just lost because the defense is that bad, right? This is a terrible, terrible take, and I agree with a lot of the things that Joe Klatt says. This one I'm just not on board with. I'm sorry.
It's funny because I mean there are very few metrics you can look at that Oregon is even better than Notre Dame's defense, and I just it's funny because you say that you generally agree with Joel Klatt. I find that more and more, the more Joel Klatt speaks, it's are you trying to be Colin Cowherd? Is that is that what you're shooting for? Because I find more of his takes are going down that road these days. He's just throwing stuff out there without really even, looking at rudimentary evidence. Colin Cowherd is so wrong so often. And it seems like there've been a lot more head scratching kind of things that I've heard Joel Klatt say this season. And this is just one of them, because there's not a ballpark that's just look across the board at Notre Dame's defense compared to Oregon's defense. And it is just better across the board. Look at the turnovers. Look what Notre Dame turned Caleb Williams into in that game. So I don't know.
They're better in scoring defense. They're better in total defense. I mean, they're better in just about every category that I can come up with. I don't get it. I don't see it. Explain it to me. I don't see it. I'm sorry. And it's kind of embarrassing for him to say that, frankly. I mean, does he watch any of the games? I don't know that he does. They've got more interceptions. Every category I've looked up so far, defensive categories, except for sacks. That's the only one so far that Notre Dame has been worse at.
Right.
So,
and that's what's crazy is lost in the way Notre Dame's defense has played with all the turnovers that they forced, especially, and, it generally limited opponents these, last several games, is they still aren't really getting to the quarterback that much, but there's a lot of other many other good things going on for the most part that is just across the board. Very good defense. So.
I don't see it. I'm sorry. I just don't see it.
I agree. Okay, Vince, this was a question that came up yesterday. I was with Notre Dame women's basketball, of course, and one of the members of the staff was making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for after the game, in case, players wanted peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and that kind of stuff. So it became a very hotly debated topic. How do you make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in terms of where do you put the peanut butter? Where do you put the jelly?
Really?
How do you do it? How do you, I assume you're a PB&J guy.
I love PB&J. It's my go-to. There's no doubt. It's easy. It's easy. Ham and cheese is my other one. Peanut butter and jelly. Those are my two favorite sandwiches.
Okay.
So peanut butter and jelly. 2 things of bread. I go peanut butter first. Okay. Put it on there. I have the squeezable jelly. Okay. So squeeze the jelly on the other side, and then put them together. I don't slice it.
So you go peanut butter on one slice of bread, jelly on the other slice of bread,
put them
and
together.
Then together. Okay.
Correct. Very simple.
So this was kind of where the hang-up was, because some people would say that if you do it that way, especially if you don't eat it right away, you're going to get jelly soaking into the bread if you do it like that.
Okay.
So
what's the solution?
So the solution apparently is you go peanut butter on one slice, peanut butter on the other slice, jelly in the middle. I've never done it that way. And that's a lot of peanut butter, obviously.
It's a lot of peanut butter. That's a lot of peanut butter. I would have never in a million years thought that's how you make a PB&J.
Or the other way that was discussed, peanut butter on one slice, jelly on top of the peanut butter,
Okay.
and then you put the other piece of bread on top.
But that's just another way to get to jelly peanut butter together.
Right. But
So
you're not, like that way, apparently the other piece of bread is not soaking up the jelly. Again, if you're going to eat it right now, I don't think it makes that much difference.
Right.
But if you're wrapping, this was like you're wrapping peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for later. What's the best way?
Right. Because
to
you
it?
do get the jelly. It's very interesting. I never thought about the peanut butter jelly in the middle to prevent the jelly from leaking through, because it does leak through the sandwich if you let it sit for a long period of time.
Right.
That's a lot of peanut butter. You'd have to really put a lot of jelly to offset some of that peanut butter, because usually I like the peanut butter more than the jelly, and the jelly is there just to prevent the peanut butter from sticking to the roof of my mouth, right? And so you've got to have the proper ratio of jelly to peanut butter so that doesn't take place. So that would be a lot of peanut butter, man. And I feel like if I had to put the proper amount of jelly to offset the peanut butter, it might leak out the sides.
Right.
And then you've got other issues then.
Right.
So I'm sticking with my way, man. I'm sticking with my way. And I'm also, you got to be careful when you're mixing the peanut butter and the jelly, because then you're going to get double on the knife. And if you have to go back into the peanut butter jar, like, let's see, you're treading on some mixing of the ingredients there that I am not a fan of.
Yeah. I see, some people saying, a little bit too much sugar, too much fat with the peanut butter and jelly. And that is like, peanut butter is a very, like, especially you get a little bit older, you're watching your calories and stuff like that. You do have to, that's like, I know someone who used to buy one of the, like go to Sam's or Costco or whatever and buy the Mondo size peanut butter and a couple loaves of bread and go travel. And like that was, meals at a time, but this was someone who could stand the calories.
Yeah.
So
see, like my kid, we get the jumbo thing of peanut butter because he eats peanut butter almost every meal because he's trying to gain weight. You know what I mean? He's into the protein and like the car. So he's getting Eggo waffles and he's slathering peanut butter and protein powder and all.
I wish.
Like, I know, right? Those were the days, right? Like,
I know.
Yeah. So that's how he eats.
I never got that, having the wrestling background from high school. Like I was never pack on more calories. It was like, what's the minimal I can eat and survive for the next 4 months?
Yes.
Like that kind of
we do not have that issue because he's about 5'10", 145, and he wants to put on the weight, not take it off. That's for sure. So he's doing the protein powders, the peanut butter, the supplements, like all of it, and then working out all the time.
I've always done it like you, though. I've always gone peanut butter,
yes,
and then jelly, slap them together.
Thank you.
Eat your sandwich. That's how I've always done it.
It's normal,
right? But I haven't packed a PB&J in a long time either, so I've never had to worry about.
That is fair. That is fair. I eat them here at the house, so I'm eating them instantly. I'm not. Yeah, I don't pack them. That's a little over that one.
We'll just wrap it up on this. DK, who doesn't flip their PB&J in their scotch? I mean, really? Like,
just dip it in.
He corrected it to dip. But yeah, I mean, come on.
Just soak it up.
We've all been there, right? Or, get a beer at the end of the night, whatever it happens to be.
Right.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for, let me make sure I didn't leave any comments. Oh, one comment from Joe. He said he heard Brian said it was okay to share the account. They can all watch the Stanford game. Everyone gets the IB Fubo next weekend. I wonder if like everyone logged in on the same day.
Oof.
Like if they would
like
even
shut
pick up
down.
on it.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like would it shut down the Fubo account if a couple hundred people logged in all at once with the same login information?
It's a good question.
Give it a shot. All right. Well, that's going to do it for tonight. Great stuff. As always, Jess will be here tomorrow. He's bringing his whiteboard with him. And then I've got
I thought I was on tomorrow.
Are you?
I think so. I know. We'll talk about it.
Well, I'll have to check that. I'm not sure. I guess I haven't looked at the spreadsheet closely enough. If you are, then I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yes.
There's probably, I think you actually are, because there was like a trade at some
Yes.
point that
There
happened.
was
And
a
this is
massive trade.
This is a player to be named later coming up
Yep.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
I think I'm that player. So
okay. All right. Hit the like button, subscribe, rate, and review. We'll have more peanut butter and jelly talk on tomorrow's show, if you so desire, on IB Nation Sports Talk.